Hey there guys. Okay, so this is going to be a showcase of my base and everybody kind of knows how this works. And just going to run through here and show you guys an endless run, but before I do that I just want to show you the layout. So for tents, I'm up to the level obviously now with 30. I unlock Riot. Everything on up here is just kind of cosmetic. 30 is where you want for the Riot, and then you're going to have basically everything you want base wise. I think I might even have more walls to put down now, so I haven't checked, but I mean I think I should. But anyway, this is going to be the first tent, it's the engineer. The second tent's going to be the medic. And all of these guys right now are level 5, and then the final one's going to be rangers. The rangers are spawning every 62 seconds. These guys are 48 and 48 respectively. And this is pretty important because the way my base is laid out, I have a tank trap here. I do want a medic and an engineer stationed here. And because the medic would heal the engineer would fix all these buildings. These guys do have to come out sometime after these two, or else they will take up position here and that will ruin everything. So immediately there, this is important how this is set up. So, you know, we can't just willy-nilly. So I could probably still level these up, but I have to take into account that this guy always has to spawn later. So I could play with the perks and stuff like that just to make sure that that does happen. And also, if it's like a few seconds, you know, the foot race to this trap is going to be important, that these two guys land here first. So I have a sniper tower back here. I might change this out to a bunker because this is mainly here for any paratrooper drops, but the coverage is not that good. So this might get changed out to a bunker. Not too important. I really haven't dealt with much of anything over on this side anyways. So here's the main part of this base. So the one thing about this is I have 3 sniper towers here. This one here is more like a decoy. It doesn't really fire off that often, just because this choke point's blocked off by some rocks. But these two guys are the mainstays. So these are level 10s, these are level 10s, and honestly they could probably be less, but I like to increase the range, and level 10 you do get a range increase. And all of these guys here will be funneling through this one choke point here. This choke point only allows like one person through at a time. There's a bunch of barbed wires, and I also have a toxic barrel here for the first group. Max upgraded wall here, 3600 health, and I got a secondary second to the last level wall here at 3000 health. And these two walls are vital. This wall is the block line of sight from my bunkers out here. Although there is a grenadier that still will sometimes lob a bomb over this side, but it really prevents them from shooting back through. This is what this wall is here for, because these rocks still give some vision. This wall here is the main choke point, so this is the most vital wall. And then I have the secondary wall here. This just keeps the stray fire from hitting these buildings back here because I don't have an engineer back here. And then I have the towers, which will all be aiming at this one choke point respectively. So you can see that goes beyond that wall right there, there, and this one obviously. And the secondary thing that they do is actually aim down where this anti-air turret gun is. You see that it all lines up there just in case they break down that wall. All of these guys have a shot here. Now this wall is not as protected, but I mean you're gonna have to give up something. Although I could turn this and maybe face it this way, I don't think it's relevant. I'd just rather keep everything here. If they do break down this wall and come through this way, I lose a few walls, but all the people that are here are going to be able to protect this area. So anti-airs, this is rather important because you want to have enough coverage where you're not going to be susceptible to bombing runs or any kind of shenanigans with air raids. So I got a triple coverage here. That's the max air guns that I can get. And I've upgraded them so at least they cover everything. None of these buildings here would be subject to any kind of damage. I do have engineers once again spawning, so the engineers are typically going to be good repairing. Obviously this cluster is going to be taken care of by this guy. There is an engineer that will start out here by default, just the way that they spawn. And this guy will be responsible for these areas and also these two anti-airs and these walls. So this guy here is pretty good. I might be able to drag this back. I haven't played with the distance enough to see if I can have him repair these two. But this back here is a black hole right now. Like this entire setup right here is a black hole. I think this one gets covered by this guy, but this is all subject to being broken down if it goes on long enough. But it rarely does. I mean, this bunker here is sacrificial. Always gets killed first. This sandbag here is sacrificial. Always gets killed first. And this is just to distract them so they don't shoot the bulk of the stuff that's here and here. So with that said, so mortars is really important. My mortar setup, and you can see this one here, it hits this entire snake trail of barbed wires. With these toxic cans here, it takes them forever to come through, and the mortar will get a good few shots off of them typically. And I wouldn't mind raising this up to the max level, get 8 shots out of it, but honestly speaking, it's overkill the way that it is. I'd rather keep my base power a little bit lower than it needs to. It's already a little higher than I would want. And then this mortar hits this entire area here. Now, I typically run my base without any extra troops running out at the enemy because I do not want any firing happening here. I don't want this to be a fighting zone because the more fighting that happens here, the more these walls get collateral damage down and broken. So not having people come through here is essential to allow this engineer that'll be here to fix these walls. And these cans are placed right at the choke point where they meet up around the tree, and it's going to give us maximum coverage for I would say collateral damage there. And I mean, honestly speaking, these are just cosmetic. They don't really do anything to change the tide of battle. So those are my 2 mortar setups, so one here, and both are covered by the anti-air guns. Again, I don't really mind if these actually blow up. I mean, they're not that big of a deal. They don't really do that much damage anyways. They hurt things like grunts, but what can't kill grunts, right? So wall setup, this is really important. So a lot of people make the mistake on tripling, quadrupling walls and stacking them here. Now, unless you're leveling up all your walls to this, and I've seen somebody had like a full base worth of these walls, like probably 20 of them, and then he made like this impenetrable kind of wall, and you gotta walk through. I didn't bring any focus fire with me, so I had to deal with it the way that it was, and behind it was like a sniper gallery, so that was bad. But I mean, they're really expensive. So with walls, you do not want just a single layer, because a single focus fire on this guy would break down like 4 walls if I had like 3 machine gunners. And that's not good enough of a defense. What you want is some buffer. So you want right here, right? This is one set of walls. They could probably break these and these down all in one turn if they really wanted to, if they could concentrate enough people here. And but after they do that, they would need another focus fire to focus these down. Now the problem with this is you will have to have your truck come up, and the pathing of the truck is going to follow this road until it gets to this point because of these walls. What the truck will try to do now is land here. That's typical of what happens if they do not break these walls down, because it's going to be a farther point than here, and the truck will follow the logic to come up this way. So the truck would stay here. It's really hard for them to concentrate enough troops here to break down all of these walls with focus fire, especially these last 2 here. Because what happens is, just like the truck, the people will also try to follow the path of least resistance, or at least the proximity of it, closer to what they have available to them. So for them to diverge from the truck to this route, it is like, I would say a third of their forces, if that, would try to trickle out this far. Most of them try to funnel in the least resistive route. Now, this secondary wall here only has 2 layers. So if they focus this one and then focus this one, yeah, technically it'll be easier. I actually tried that with fighting my own base. And what I found was that when they break these walls down, they still split almost their forces 80-20 to want to favor this route, which is kind of stupid. So the 20% that does make it in here, I did focus these walls down, although this guy here was repairing these walls like mad. If I were to up this wall to this level here, it would even stand more pain before it goes down. But once this went down, it's really hard for them to get this, because the line of sight with these rocks makes this kind of hard to blow up. You kind of have to come through straight this way to get there. So with that being broken, my troops were just getting nailed by all of these guys here. It was really hard to make any headway. I blew all of this up. I mean, knowing my base and knowing how to attack, I blew all of this up. I cannot get to these towers. There's just no way for me to get to these towers. There was just too much fodder here in the sandbags. Too many things here to shoot that they were distracted before these guys got taken out. So even with 5,000 plus munitions, 2 focused fires, 3 focused fires, I even used a paratrooper to try to break these preliminary walls down, and I did do that with the paratrooper in this area because this is undefended. I dropped the paratrooper here. Their AI is default to set to destroying walls to make their way back out if they're entrapped like this. So I dropped the paratrooper. They broke these walls down, or at least they broke these 2 walls down, whatever it was, to allow my troops to come through. but it was still not enough because, I mean, that's equivalent to a focus fire. I could have just focus fire this down and it would have been that. So 2 focus fire, 3 focus fire. I got the walls down, but I cannot penetrate through here. And I have riots, and my riots are actually pretty well built. So let me just show you. My riots are decent for what they are right now. I got a level 2 speed, level 3, I will say make them cheaper perk, and then also the health is a level 4. So right now they have 1600 health, and that's all you really need in the walk speed, because you want them in the front. And they only cost 288 for me. So even with that, I got into this, destroyed it all, but cannot kill the base. Now, with all said and done, I guess you guys will want to see this in action. So let me go ahead and run through hub, war, and do a CPU defend. Now, the endless defend is pretty easy because they do not have any specials. The waves, they're a little bit more tricky just because they could still have the same insane amount of enemies, and they have a ton of specials. If they constantly decoy this up, all my guys will die. But this is the poison. If you pick your poison, if you're a player, you will have a choice between focus fire or decoys. Decoys takes care of these guys pretty well. Decoys, you could do a lot of damage in this area, but oh well, you know, then my rangers will start filling these up when they all die anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like the vets here, they're replaceable. And then if you use focus fire, you get through, but none of these guys will be dead, and you're gonna be dealing with them that way. So you're gonna have to make a choice there. And you can see the first group, this is not gonna be any problem. I mean, that mortar there, only thing that they'll ever kill are these guys. It's kind of pointless. They don't stand any chance of doing any damage anyways. Yeah, but this whole section here, it's all mortared up, which is really nice. It's just that when you get through the initial push and people are trying to go and, you know, supply with grunts and stuff like that, their grunts are going to get nailed here. Like, grunts going through here, just pointless. Even if my base is undefended, it'll have a hard time getting through here. So this is the first action in the choke point when people are coming through. And the reason why you want rangers here is because this choke point allows them, with their high accuracy, to just mow things down that are here. Yeah, I could leave this on for like 30 minutes without touching it, and it would do its job. So you can see right here, these walls are constantly getting repaired. This guy here is repairing all of these barbed wires as getting there, but this guy I think could reach this whole section here just by himself, because now that guy's gone and these walls are getting repaired as we're fighting. And this is it. I mean, like I said, this is the sacrificial building here. This is kind of the draw the fire for these guys to make them tempted to not shoot this cluster. And around the 30-minute mark, they will bust this wall down. I don't remember if it was 30 or sooner than that, but even when this wall is down, I mean, the defense is still pretty tight. It takes them a while to get through. I got to 40 by actually using my specials toward the end, but I did not use them when they were here in the choke point. I kind of used them here, and I was getting bored, really. Probably could have switched at the 41 minutes, but I really see no point as these guys here end at 30 minutes. So your mortars will destroy walls over time, but these walls are insignificant. I tried blowing these walls up to get access over here too, but having to walk through these barbed wires to get to this point really wasn't that good, because you would kick so much mortar fire just before you get to this point that it wasn't really worth it. So this is what I want to prevent. I do not want any fighting to happen here, so I'm thinking I might throw a couple of extra bunkers so the overflow will be held within the base. I mean, a couple of rangers here and there is not bad. I mean, eventually when you're playing players, you do want to have that pressure where they would have to force out some grunts to kind of keep up, but not so much that on these defense missions with Rocketeers that they would do enough damage. So that sandbag's gone. Like I said, that was meant to go. So now it's going to be this building taking the heat, and these guys should funnel in a little bit more. And you see, this wall's not getting repaired because this guy's fully repairing it every time that they do anything. These barbed wires and stuff like that, they will eventually go too, and it will just speed up the process. But I mean, for now, this is good enough for like 40 minutes. This is good enough for most player raids. And the one way that I think this base will be beat right now is really with surgeons. And you would just have to do like a surgeon trot, break these walls down, and hopefully get enough people where you would have a cluster here, keep dying but keep reviving, and then once you get critical mass, then you would decoy up these guys here and have them go ham. I mean, one decoy should take care of all of these buildings, you know. So you just have to decoy, and then hopefully you do some damage before everybody dies. But honestly speaking, to get enough surgeons and like rocketeers out, rocketeers you get one shot per decoy roughly. It's gonna be a lot of expenditure. You might get machine guns, what have you. I mean, I don't know what the best combination would be. But yeah, it's tough. Maybe flamers, I don't know. But yeah, flamers, you do not want these guys shooting at anybody here because they will blow stuff up. Like this barbed wire is already gone. Yeah, flamers are really, really strong when it comes to just the anti-personnel and anti-building. Yeah, I mean, they gotta do something about this AI. Like Rocketeers, I think should really have a cooldown like Focus Fire where you can tell them to aim at walls. They are too expensive of a troop for what they are without surgeons. Like if you do not have surgeons, like that right there, that would have been 500 munitions or whatever the discount would be with the perk. And you just can't, like, you can't fight that way. Like my most expensive troop right now is 360, which is the machine gunner, which is these guys here. And I only spawn maybe 2 or 3 a battle depending on how far I am in that fight. And if they don't last, I mean, I'm pretty much lost. I can't imagine losing a Rocketeer to that stuff. So this used to be an issue before I built this with snipers. Snipers have a field day right in this pocket here. And they tend to do so much damage just not having anybody contest them that I built this wall because of that. I mean, and since I built this wall, it's been like this, basically. So one Grenadier snuck in and actually got a hit. So you see they're glitching through the walls because there's such a big pile of people here. And they're getting shoved by all the grenades and stuff like that. And that's how they get through. Like around the 40-minute mark, this wall would almost be not, like, I mean, visible to them. So they'll glitch right through. Oh, they're actually getting through a lot better than I thought. So I lost a ranger, but I mean, that's not really important. It's the medic that's important, the engineer that's important. And this guy does stay relatively safe. I believe when I did do the 40-minute run, I did not have as many machine gunners. I actually had snipers back here. And I think the snipers did help a little bit more with the Rocketeer. But I just felt that with them, they have better range. And I mean, just when it gets to the point where this gets mowed down, they are better than snipers. Snipers just don't fire fast enough. But yeah, now all of this is fully repaired. This is fully repaired. These guys are fully healed. I mean, it's like they had rockets here, but it really didn't do any damage. And these buildings have been taking hits, but once again, they have been repairing, so... And once you get bombardiers, I mean, these guys, when they turn into bombardiers, it's going to be even crazier because they will get to launch 8 different grenades here. Yeah, that's just, it's Stagger City. I mean, even with 3, it's really effective. And then when you get 8, it's, I don't know. I mean, this game is really about 2 things: focus fire and choke points. And then if you're on offense, your build composition has to have a riot. If you do not have riot in there, I mean, you're just doing it wrong. I mean, this game has a few flaws in it right now, and I think those are a few of them. When I play offense, it literally boils down to, do I have enough focus fires to get through the level? Yeah, this flamer is doing work on this wall right now. And this is why I do not want to up my Rangers tent to have them spawn more. But like I said, I am more likely going to put a sandbag here for these first ones to funnel through. Because the first group is gonna not really be needed for this defense to begin with. So if I have like say a 3 bunker here or sandbag, that should keep them from funneling through in the excuse me, in the future. Yeah, so these are the beefy guys. These are the ones that usually cause issues. And honestly speaking, I could use a single landmine. And, I mean, you could keep entire armies at bay with a single landmine when I'm playing the defense mode. Obviously, when you're not doing defense mode, there's nothing you can do. But yeah, like this is fully stocked right now. These are getting repaired. The walls on full health because this guy's not repairing them. These walls haven't been touched. This wall here broke, but once again, these are all just delays. This just prevents the backups from coming in earlier. This just slows them down and all it wastes time off the clock. We're 9 minutes in, and I think even the worst base is like 8 minutes a raid. So, and they've spent munition after munition worth of units. But once again, I mean, there's a lot that you could do to disrupt this base. Decoys do a hell of a lot of work here, but they don't get rid of these buildings. If you use decoys, that's your specials that you're spending on other things that you could be using to break down these walls. You could break down this wall, but I can assure you that this will still hold 10 plus minutes without these walls here. So, and then the counterpoint to that is, yeah, you could run a whole ton of snipers and sharpshooters. That would work. It's really expensive to do that. But I mean, I honestly don't know if you have enough firepower for those sharpshooters to come out of this corner and to still have enough to take on all of these towers. So maybe a sharpshooter surgeon rush, I have no idea. I don't have any of those guys, so can't really speak upon it. So once again, those few stray hits, hopefully everything get healed up back here soon. Yeah, these machine gunners actually do need to get pushed up a bit. They do not really shoot until they get to this point. So they can get a couple more shots earlier, but honestly their range is far enough. It might just be the angle. So on the 11-minute mark, they tend to turn up the intensity quite a bit with these Rocketeers. They actually make a turn and fire off a lot sooner. If they are like the first few in the line before this barrage starts happening, they do get a couple of pot shots off, and you see this building here is on its way out. This is the building that takes the most heat from anything, so, but it's by design, so if it goes, it goes. Yeah, see, fighting here does absolutely nothing except for give them a chance to shoot and do collateral damage on these walls. So you want to prevent that as much as possible. Once again, I don't run with people coming out regularly. And if you're playing against a player, it's just less munitions for them to gain from killing stuff. So that was kind of a big push there at 12 minutes. You can see this building was down to the point where it was almost gone and it's almost back to full health again. So that wall, what it does is it prevents all of this stuff from breaking down. So another thing is I put the engineer here, so when they walk out, they will heal all these buildings while they're walking out. So that's another thing that was planned. So you see this wall is now full health from him just walking through here, which is really nice. So all these barbed wires and stuff are already gone. That's to be expected, but once again, that's just really there for the player, not so much the AI. The AI don't really care if there's barbed wires or not, since they endlessly spawn stuff anyways. If you guys haven't seen videos of it or anything either, at 40 minutes, this entire section is just filled with troops. They don't have waves like this, where you get a cluster and there's nothing. It's constant. This wall will not hold because those pot shots that you saw us taking hits on and the repairs that are happening, they're non-stop. So one stagger would basically allow another person to come through and then another person to come through, and then they will eventually break through. This goes, like I said, about 30 minutes in. Ideally, a choke point, you would want them to enter this way and then have to turn around to be able to see you. That turn takes them forever. Like right now they're doing like a 45-degree angle, and this is why they're getting these pot shots off. But if they do a full 180, you're gonna get such a big jump on them. It's a better route, but this is, I think, the best combination right now. I do not want them snaking into here because I want this buffer zone, like I was saying, for focus fire. So this route here has been the best one that I've tested out, and this is a very common choke point. This is one of the first choke points that you can really utilize. This long route here. A lot of people like to funnel in the middle. Problem with funneling in the middle is you do not have enough coverage or good enough spread to kind of keep a good focus here for this kind of barraging. Like this one funnel here works really well for mortars. It works really well just to keep everything on the side. A lot of indestructible rocks. You're not building your own personal rocks, and line of sight is more controlled because you're only worried about line of sight coming through this angle. If you're having people funnel in from both sides into the center here, you got all kinds of line of sight issues that they can see inside. And when you're dealing with sharpshooters and snipers, that's where it gets hairy. Most base defenses will start to fall on a barrage like this from just having enough fighting happen here. That choke point disappears, and when that happens, this base falls, and that's the end of it, basically. You can continue to use specials, but like I said, I haven't touched a single one, and we're 15 and a half minutes in. So this bunker might start to go. They're just getting a lot of pot shots in. Oh, this bunker went. Wow, that usually does not go that soon. Yeah, these guys are getting a lot of pot shots in. But yeah, once again, it's not really necessary either to have these. They help, but having the snipers would definitely help, I think, with the tankier guys. I'm surprised this went before this, because this usually goes before that. But for whatever reason, they're prioritizing this right now over this. Engineers are so useless. I just got the perk for 25% more damage too, or the metal, which is heal 1,000,000 damage, which from this you can see is really easily done. I mean, just from this bunker alone, this guy's probably going to heal a bunch. So I played a bunch of this to get to 40 minutes, and they racked it up pretty quickly. Yeah, right now, my rangers have the metal already. The medic has the metal. My grunts and assault all have full medals. Grenadier has all the medals. So everybody that's fielded has all the medals. I mean, there isn't really much to say. This is 17 minutes in. I think this is a pretty good demonstration. And like I said, this base has lasted me past 30 minutes without using a single special. I'd probably call it here, but I don't know. I'll let it run for a full 30 minutes. I said I was going to. And you guys could probably fast forward and see toward the end here. I mean, damage-wise, there's not much. This mode, once again, is a lot easier because they do not have anything to kind of mess with your base. But you can see right here, right? Let's just imagine before they attack, they get to blow up all of my barbed wires. This wall here. Even a couple of sandbags, right? And let's say they even killed off all of these guys. To start. The main one being the engineer. If they get rid of this guy, it will be a little bit problematic. But if the sandbag holds, these guys will eventually funnel back in. I've had that happen. So let's say they start off with that advantage, and I give you a 10,000 munitions lead. I mean, you would still have to walk it through or deuce through this hole to get them through. And like I said, that glitch right there, where they glitch through the wall to shoot that rocket, yeah, that's gonna start to happen. So it's pretty tough. I mean, without hero units, I don't know. I've tried. And I know for me, snipers aren't going to do it because they're too expensive. And they shoot too seldomly. And they have a little bit more range than sniper towers, but they typically will walk a little bit further in before they will have sight of anything. And just a few rangers that trickle out here will get rid of any, you know, lone snipers and stuff that we would have. And any kind of meat shield that they throw at them would funnel through here and get shot. So you're always left with lone snipers on the end. Maybe the trick is to bring a single flamer and just have them go to town on walls. I don't know. I mean, I always build a lot of people when I do the focus fire to kill walls. Because machine gunners do well, but they're expensive too. So maybe building a single flamer and having them just rally flagged into these areas and then break these walls down might be the key. But that remains to be seen. I mean, like I said, I could play with my base a little bit more just to see where the weak spots are. It'd be interesting to see maybe people that are a bit higher level, how they would attack it, so I know where my weakest spots are. But I know for a fact it's going to be this wall here. It's this wall and this engineer. This engineer is replaceable. This wall is not, so that's definitely priority. But to have enough firepower to come through here to destroy this wall with a focus fire is tough because you have to start with the barbed wire. If you come in with a tactical boot, that will give you some advantage in, you know, snaking through here quickly enough. Yeah, so Ranger here died. Good thing the medic's still alive. Got another medic. Rather a Ranger be here, but yeah, I'm starting to lose a little bit of firepower here. And adding more sandbags here is not ideal. You generally want it back here to take the, I would say, the extra Rangers that will funnel through. And it'll be nice paratrooper defense. I haven't spoken about that yet. Somebody did try to paratrooper me here, and the machine gunners have a range enough to kill the paratroopers while they're here. And then the sniper tower will mop up the rest, and if not, then the rangers that come out here will mop up the rest. I mean, they generally don't have enough time to do enough damage to any of these buildings to make it worthwhile, because these guys here will heal it. And then of course I also have a medic here, which does have decent range, so... Yep, 21 minutes in, and this building's most likely going to get fired down this time. Yep, there it goes. So 21 minutes in, this wall's still holding. As you see, the groups are getting tighter. They're coming out before the last one completely ends. So now it's going to be a test of attrition and how quickly this could get repaired up before the next barrage comes in. And the level of this wall is really the buffer. And it's the buffer for the overflow that causes the fights to happen here, not so much, you know, for most of the other stuff. Because I think the friendly fire doesn't hurt it. Yeah, it's beautiful when you see the mortars hit consecutively like that. And the mortars don't do jack worth of damage against this group over here, this pile. So this wall's fully healed again. I think that was a stray missile from this corner. That's what I try to prevent with these walls. Oh, that's gonna go. That's no good. One more and that's gonna go. Yep, that's gone. So we're down to 2 sandbags. We'll see if we can last another 7 minutes. Yeah, I'm still not 100% happy with this angle. I think when I get more walls, which I do now, I'm going to be able to maybe funnel them a little differently. Maybe add a couple more walls here so then they will have to come this far out before they can fire on anything. And that should be interesting. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine this is 24 minutes in and it's so dead? Now, it's nice when the snipers pick these guys off because they do not do any collateral damage. It's all just complete, I would say, 100% on the unit. Yeah, but that's that. And we're 24 minutes in and, you know, we're waiting on people to show up. It's crazy. I will destroy my own HQ when it gets to 30 minutes. There's really no point past that. I mean, I'm already at 46k munitions. And I could literally go eat dinner and let this run and collect munitions, but that's a bad waste of electricity on my part. I could get munitions pretty quickly just by playing games too. I get like maybe 3-4k a game in like 3-minute games. Speaking of which, my single skull missions have now increased to anywhere from 1500 ranking to like 2000 at times. The worst I've seen it was like 3600. My 2 skulls are all like in the 2.93k area, which is ridiculous. I just don't have the forces enough to fight that. So I don't know what this game's thinking, but it's really hindering my card farming. Because I try to fight 1 skulls without using any cards, 2 skulls if they allow me. Anything like 2000-ish, I would run with crappy cards. 2500, I would have to use some of the better cards to really stand a decent chance. I know I've beaten bases well worth over 3000, maybe even 4. But they were poorly designed bases with some flaws in them. I go in there blind, obviously, like everybody else. But Paratroopers is one of the, I would say, underdog cards or underappreciated cards right now. They're really good at taking out buildings. If there's no defensive units like this around, one sneaky paratrooper could literally wipe out an entire economy worth of buildings. And I've had that happen with a few maps where they even took out the HQ. I dropped paratroopers down and then gas bombed this area like consecutively, and it took down the HQ. And this guy's base was probably worth like 4,000. Their choke point was literally like this. I mean, they had a decent choke point like this, but I got my grunts far enough where I had vision, and I just kept spamming grunts enough to give me vision, and yeah, sure enough, it eventually just paid off. So I might give some attacking tips too in the future. I'm not that good in attacking though. I do make a lot of mistakes still. But one of the things that I see a lot of people do when I'm watching videos of my defenses, and I'll probably show one of those too before this video, or I'll do another video of it. So we're 27 minutes now. Almost there. 30 minutes is almost on the horizon. So one of the things that I do when I'm on offense is try to run grunts. Just a couple of units to start, have them scout, look at where the weak spots are, and then once I find where my main point of attack would be, that's when I would go ahead and spawn out my big units. But I also only spawn grunts to begin with to get rid of like explosive barrels and stuff like that. So once the explosive barrels go, then you know your troops aren't going to have that big AoE damage coming their way. It's really bad to spawn right away, right when you get out of the truck. I know some people do it to try to get veterancy, but in my opinion, it's not worth it. It's totally not worth it. Oh, they're coming through, they're coming through. I don't have a healer here, so this is dangerous. So this guy's gonna have to do a bit of work. Oh, okay, that guy left. That's nice of him. I don't see why. Or maybe that was a part of the attacking, the overflow. They used temporary cover to move and gave him a spot for this guy to heal everybody up here. That's awesome. So this flamer gets here. That would have been bad. Oh, that bunker's or that sandbag's gone. Minute 60 left. Full auto. Let's see if we make it. I mean, I know we will because they're not going to kill this in that time frame, so. This is a full 30-minute run without me using a single special. pretty sure there's other bases that do it better than this. Pretty sure. But I mean, this is just from my trial and error. I ran into a couple of bases that use this choke point, and I just started kind of building around it. Started looking at where they would break through, which items get hit first, what is the best way to tackle it, things like that. Nice. So that's the other technician or the engineer medal. Hey, so I think this is perfect. I think they might actually get to it right about 30 minutes. That would be, I don't know. It'll be close. So I got a couple of distraction buildings here. Nope, not gonna make it. I'm gonna be short. Oh, this is unfortunate. Nope, 8 seconds short, but well, it's close enough, right, guys? Almost 30 minutes. I guess if you stayed that long, that was pretty exciting to see if I made it or not. 65k munitions, 30 minutes would have gave me another, what, like 2k. Well, like I said, it's not worth it to just run it on auto to do that. Once you get all the perks, it's probably not worth playing anymore. So I'm gonna end this here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do another video, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple of defenses that were ran against me recently with this particular base setup. But yeah, so let's do that. I'll end it here. If you guys have any questions, hit me up on squad chat, and we'll go from there. All right, take care, guys.